sit!
Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
He's Garrett Price.
How's it going?
And we have our first in-studio show of the year. That's what I was looking for.
There it is.
Yeah, the trumpets in the background. Today's show title, as you can see, unless you can't read, is reviewing our bold hot takes of the season. So, before the season, first week of September, right around there, we do our bold take episode. And, we said going forward after, I think we started doing this last year, kind of go through and recap those for accountability and kind of talk about what went right, went wrong.
Hilarity is what mine will be.
I'm actually pretty happy with how mine turned out overall.
I'm pretty happy. I thought I did better than I really did.
I have one or two that are very laughable.
I might start changing names to protect the innocent at some point during this. It's going to get ugly.
We should just give you like the shadow. You could be the shadow guy that we distort your voice.
I was
Jalen McMillan will. That's actually a good one. That's actually my only.
That's
good
one of the best.
Yeah, the one about Jalen McMillan.
I was close on a couple too.
Yeah, I had a couple as well where it was like, depending on how you interpret it, it looks better or worse. And then there were a few that were just like, there was only one for me. Actually, there was two that are like laughable.
Oh,
there
I
were
got
two.
some laughable ones.
So on this, do we just want to go like one by one, or are we starting with like all our bad, then going to our good, or start with the good, go to the bad? How do we want to handle this?
I'll just go down my list of how I read them off in the original show.
Okay.
Well, however you want to do it. There's no structure here. We just talk Dynasty.
We just have a good time. Snapping next cash and checks.
Well, my very first bold prediction, because I'm sure I went first because,
I'm positive you went first.
There's a good chance, yeah.
Without
I
knowing.
insert myself. Was Devon Achane finishes the top 3 PPR running back. That did not come true. I was close.
It's close, though.
He was running back 5 on the year. He averaged 17.6 points per game. He missed out being running back 3 by a total of about 35 points. So close, but no cigar. Still a very good year. Really helped his Dynasty ADP. Probably jumped Breece Hall in a lot of people's opinions in Dynasty. So he definitely ascended.
For sure.
But if we're going by right and wrong, no horseshoes.
Technically,
I'm an X there. So close, but no cigar on Devon Achane. PPR started the season off hot. I was like, this is locked up. Told you guys, top 3. Don't know what you go. Why don't y'all listen to me more?
For what it's worth, I had an Achane one as well that did not work out. I went with Achane puts up over 2,000 total yards, which obviously did not happen. The receiving was there. The receiving, he did amazing in the receiving game, and that was part of our reasoning for putting him so highly was the receiving. But the running game, I thought, like everyone did, he would take a step down in his efficiency on the ground. Like, I don't think anybody expected him to be this, 6-7 yard per game or per touch guy. That being said, I didn't expect it to drop as far as it did. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. I'm guessing it'll probably be somewhere in the middle. But we'll kind of have to wait and see. That offensive line was not the best. And we'll just kind of have to wait and see how it goes.
Yeah, see how they attacked this offseason, how they attacked their first-round pick. I believe they have like the 12th overall pick. A lot of Tyler Warren being mocked there right now, so we'll see if they continue the offense. But
it'd be interesting with how well Jonnu Smith played. Like, they don't necessarily need that guy, but if he's the best available on their board,
always go best available.
Always go best available.
And he officially declared, right, just the other day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Although the 2 Penn State running backs, including Nick Singleton, just found out that they went back to school. So,
yeah.
Oh, really?
Two less running backs. Now, Allen was not nearly as high on the board.
Yeah.
He was going to be one of the later round guys that we discussed. But Singleton, I wasn't somebody that necessarily had him as like a top 3, top 5 guy, although there were people. But, I mean, anytime a running back goes back, it does put a little ding on the class. But compared to other years when like Travis Etienne goes back or like different players, Travion Henderson last year really hurt last year's class because he probably would have been RB1 last year. This is, for me, this is like RB 8, 9 going back. So it doesn't really do that.
And that's where he probably hurt. He probably hurt his running back like 7, 8, 9 on some boards. Like, hey, I'm going to go back.
Yeah, this is a strong class. Might as well go back.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, I made a prediction, too, about Miami running backs. I don't know if I want to. I mean, Jaylen Wright will emerge as the number 1 back in Miami by week 5. And we all know that he didn't even really crack the top 3, basically.
I'm curious to see what happens this year for him, though. Like, I don't think he's dead in the water. I think he's very much so going to be a part of this backfield. And I think Achane showed this year that he, even though he was great for fantasy football, caught a lot of passes, he's not going to be a guy that gets, even though early on in the season he's not going to be a guy that's getting 20-plus carries a game. Like, that's not his lane. He's much better as the 10, 12 carry guy with then the 5 to 7 targets sprinkled in.
Yeah, like about 12 to 15 touches would be great.
For what it's worth, they both averaged 4.1 yards per carry, Achane and Wright. What I think the visuals on Wright weren't great at times, though. There were a lot of tackles behind the line of scrimmage and tackles for loss for Wright. So if he can get that part of his game kind of ironed out and straightened out, I think he'll be headed in the right direction. If he doesn't, he's probably going to get replaced pretty quickly. And they'll just find somebody off. They're pretty good at picking these guys in general. So, it's not like they used a second-round draft pick on Wright.
Nope, he was a day 3 guy.
Yeah, so
but he
could be replaced pretty quickly.
I believe that he's going to get a chance, a solid chance next year. I mean, this is a guy they took in the 4th round, but they gave up a 3rd-round pick in this year's draft. So they gave up some good capital.
I get it. They did give up good stuff for him, but I do feel like this is a system where they could find a guy in the 6th round that is just hits the ground running, and I don't know that he did that this year. So he's got kind of an uphill climb, I think, to relevance.
For somebody who's a big Wright proponent, I think he has a chance to finish as a mid-range running back too if he gets in here and gets into rotation with Devon Achane. And
I mean, the good news is Mostert's like 39 or 45 years old, somewhere in that range. And, Wilson is similarly old, 29, 30 years old. And that's really his main competition moving forward if they even are on the roster next year. So,
I don't think either of those guys are on the roster. And we are going to pay attention to what they do in this year's draft, see if they kind of attack that. I don't think they will. I think they'll just go ahead and go around about. They have Devon Achane. They got Jaylen Wright, who they just invested in. And then if they bring somebody in, it'll be like a 3rd-string running back.
Yeah, Miami's interesting. A lot of, I think, after this season kind of went so bad, there has been like a bit of a sour taste, right? Especially towards the end of the season. Not knowing if Tyreek Hill is actually going to be there. It seems like they got that calmed down a little bit, but is that just – kind of, hey, hush up and we'll move you in the offseason if you don't, if you keep your mouth shut type of move.
The fact they posted it, the thing that gets me is, I know this in the conversation, was like 2 days later when he put that Twitter post up of him and Antonio, he put his head on Antonio Brown's body doing the peace out sign.
Yeah.
That's his avatar. I was like, okay, well, you were pretty serious about you want the hell out of there.
At one point.
There's no muddy in the waters here or confused after the game frustration, right? Like, you are 48 hours later going, deuces. So we will see. Miami is interested. So that was your Jaylen Wright. You had a Devon Achane. My next one was a bad one as well. It was George Pickens, finishes a top 6 receiver. And I mean, I'm really putting this on not just the Steelers quarterback situation, because even Calvin Austin kind of emerged a little bit as out there. It's just George Pickens to me, not even to me. I think it's pretty clear now that
he's a knucklehead. He's a grade A knucklehead.
Yeah,
dude.
I mean,
he's got all the talent.
When he had a meme, right?
He's got all the talent. He can't get out of his own way.
I mean, even at the end of the year press conference, they're like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And he's like, "Do you think it's gonna get better?" He's like, "Nah." You're like, "Oh, okay." Or like, "Are you optimistic about the future?" And he's like, "Nah." You're like, "Oh, okay." Like, it's tough, man.
He missed 3 games, so there is that.
There is.
But he was wide receiver 42. I mean,
still only 11.7 points. Like,
no bueno.
Yeah.
And listen, I have all the stats still written here of why he would be a top wide side.
The early season stuff, obviously, that was a terrible fit with Justin Fields.
Sure,
things did get much better
There was a stretch at the beginning of Russ where it was like, maybe
this isn't too bad.
You're right. In the very beginning, you're like, this isn't too bad. Like, this is going to pick up for George Pickens. This is great. And then, which he did. I mean, he went from having, single point games. Russ comes along, 22.1, 11.4, bye week, 20.5, 16.9. And then it was just 8.8, 16, missed 3 games, 8.
8, yep. 8 and then 1 in week 18.
He's such a cap it right. He's like a talent. He's such a talented receiver. But does he fall in this does he fall in this category of like, the Justin Blackmans, the Josh Gordons, like these super talented guys that just
can't get out of
their own issues that they can't seem to get past?
Yes,
probably. I mean. There's a chance that George Pickens isn't even on the Steelers next year.
And
it's crazy how the Steelers handle all these guys. Like they bring in all these people with emotional damage.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He might not be there. Maybe this is that Chris Carter moment when Chris Carter got moved, and then his career took off because he realized I'm being an idiot. I'm shooting myself in the foot. I need to get my act together.
Yeah, but it's usually with the Steelers, it's the opposite.
Right,
once they leave the Steelers, then they go full
nuclear.
Yeah, it's like Squid Game when you had to jump on one of the squares and one of them is a pit of death. It's like they always land on the pit of death, like 100% of the time. Nobody ends good. I mean, Deontay Johnson's about to be on his 5th team in a year.
Yep. And we didn't even know he was a knucklehead.
Yeah, that's the crazy. We had no idea.
Yep. They waived him, right? Houston
Today.
waived him. Yeah.
Yeah, before their playoff game,
right?
Because I guess he did something again. Like he was all mad about not seeing. It's like, dude, you've been here for 6 hours. Like, you can't even. What's on page 2 of the playbook? Like, can you even tell me that? Like, you're sitting there pouting. Unbelievable.
Right.
Like, I mean, at that point, like, there's so much negative roster, like such a calamity there with him and like issues and button heads. It's like, who's going to sign him?
Somebody likely will sign him.
Jerry Jones would.
Yeah, somebody will sign him because they're going to need help, and there'll be an injury or something like that. Somebody will sign him, and he'll probably go nuclear again, and there we go.
I mean,
it'll be a stopgap 4-week type of guy.
It's honestly probably turned him in somewhat of a buy because his value is so low, again, from being cut. Like, you probably get him in your rookie draft for a super late draft pick. And like, he's still a very good route runner. Like, he still has a good hand, so he's worth.
How old is he? Is he 27?
28, I think.
28?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, George Pickens, massive whiff. Massive. Not my biggest whiff, by the way, being top 6, which is crazy to say, but not my biggest whiff. It gets worse. I got one that's way worse.
I have one really bad one, too.
I got all bad ones.
All right, just lay it on us.
All right. Cam Akers, I mean, damn it. Ty Chandler will get more involved than expected and finished as a low-end running back, too. So I didn't even get the right backup running back that was going to get more involved than I thought.
Cam's
Ty Chandler,
decent.
Yeah, no, Cam's look good. I wish I wrote Cam Akers on here. I wrote Ty Chandler. Obviously, it just fell apart for him completely this year. Never got any of the run that I thought he would, and then got supplanted by the guy with Achilles heel issues.
Who happened to him, twice, 3 times? I don't know.
Who surprisingly, I think has looked kind of efficient towards the end of the season, and he might even be a guy that you go out and kind of explore because he's a free agent. I think both those guys,
Aaron Jones as well,
and himself, were both on 1-year prove-it deals. So maybe just a worthwhile stash or kind of guy you can get for real cheap.
They'll draft a guy or bring a guy in like Najee Harris.
I'll say I feel like the second round they're gonna be snatching somebody in the second round.
I think so too because that's an explosive offense, and then you already have a quarterback on a rookie contract, so like bringing another rookie in really opens them up to a lot of big things on defense and
offensive line.
100%.
We'll see. I have my first one listed on here. Ended up being a good one, so it's fun to talk about one that was successful. Terry McLaurin will finish the season as a wide receiver 1. That one felt really good because, he was projected to be mid-20s, maybe a low-end wide receiver 2 to high-end wide receiver 3, which was fair. That's what he's done most of his career. He's been floating between a wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 3. So it was fair to project him that way. But I talked about the Kingsbury offense coming in, that it's going to be very wide receiver friendly. Looking at what Nuke did with a young quarterback, and I thought Terry McLaurin would probably get similar target share as Nuke and all these things. And a lot of this really did, come true. When you look at what Terry McLaurin did this past year, he finished the season as wide receiver 7 overall, 15.8 points per game. Didn't miss a game, which obviously that helps as well. But he was just really good all year, unfortunately, except for the championship round when I started him. 1.5 points, that kind of hurt. But other than that, he had a fantastic season, especially towards the end of the year. It's just upper teens game, 20s, like over and over and over and over.
Any concern? I mean, this was one of those years where he scored an absurd amount of touchdowns compared to his usual amount.
Correct.
So 13 this past year. Before that, it was 4, 5, 5, 4, 7. And really, you look at the numbers themselves, and his receptions aren't really up any crazy amount. Neither are his yards. It's really just the touchdowns. So any concern that there's going to be some sort of kind of regression there?
Absolutely.
Next year?
I would be surprised if they do not bring in another pass catcher this offseason. I got to imagine that's a priority because Jayden Daniels, he's getting it done with Zacchaeus and Diami Brown and all of these guys, but they're not game changers. They're not game wreckers. The only one on that offense outside of Daniels that's that way is a guy in Terry McLaurin. So they're going to be bringing in pieces as often. I could even see him bringing a running back as well. Like, I think anything in the offense is on the table outside of quarterback and wide receiver 1. Anything else is on the table.
And Terry's 29, so I think that would make a lot of sense for them to go out and get a younger guy that can kind of be brought along and kind of grow into that role. As
T. Higgins, I could see T. Higgins as a free agent. They've got the money to potentially do it.
Yeah.
But I could also see him going after, one of these young receivers in the draft. So there's a lot on the table for them.
Yeah, I think outside of bringing in T. Higgins, I think Terry McLaurin's got a really nice next couple of years ahead of him. I think, what's held him back, obviously, all this time is just a really good quarterback play. And now he's got above and beyond. He's got all pro elite. Yeah,
see that pass where he just dropped
unbelievable.
It, right?
Oh my God. I rewinded it right afterwards. It was that beautiful. And then even at the end when he had that coming in late to score the touchdown on the 5-yard line, he had to slide in like end zone touch. He's do it all. But like that over the shoulder catch, that was just as good as it gets. It's undefendable. You can't stop it. And Terry's been touted as a very good receiver for a long time, but from a fantasy aspect, somebody who just wasn't in that elite level. It's amazing what happens when you bring in an elite quarterback. We talk about this all the time, like situation, where you're at, who the coach is, who the quarterback, everything matters. Like it really does. And sometimes, talent can transcend that. A guy like Malik Nabers, right? Finishing weeks 1 through 17 as wide receiver 6 on the year on an abysmal team with terrible quarterback play. Some people can, elevate what's around them. They're just that good. So, like, just imagine Malik Nabers next year with a really good quarterback, or 3 years from now from a really good quarterback, just kind of like Terry McLaurin. Like, even it's on like a different level. You're talking like Jamar Chase level. That's what Malik Nabers brings to the table. So a guy like Terry, if you have him, you trade for him, you feel pretty good right now about the situation because he's like the face of the franchise outside of Jayden Daniels. And with this run now, they're going to build around Jayden and keep this core in place until they got to pay Jayden. So you probably got, 2025 and 2026, realistically, of Terry McLaurin producing at a pretty high level. And you mentioned touchdowns. Maybe it's not wide receiver 8 on the year. Maybe it's wide receiver 12. Maybe it's wide receiver 5. Maybe it's 50. Either way, it's a championship caliber player.
Yep, absolutely.
So my next bold prediction was Jaxon Smith-Njigba is the highest scoring Seattle Seahawks wide receiver.
Hey.
Yeah, so I nailed that one out of the park. And at the time, it wasn't as like, it seemed very bold because
it seemed super bold.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Jaxon Smith-Njigba coming off a really bum year. They just re-signed Tyler Lockett, which was kind of like shy. Everybody's like, why did they re-sign this guy? And they had DK Metcalf, a wide receiver, one the previous year. Well, weeks 1 through 17, because that's the full regular season. Jaxon Smith-Njigba finished as wide receiver 7 overall, and DK Metcalf finished as wide receiver 35. Tyler Lockett's not even worth mentioning. So, with the breakout of Terry McLaurin, we had the breakout of Jaxon Smith-Njigba as well, who's still only like 22 years old. Like he's still extremely young. So, again, NFL and in Dynasty, people are so impatient. Sometimes like, hey, you're not Brian Thomas Jr., you're not Malik Nabers, you're not Ladd McConkey, you're not Brock Bowers, like you got to go. What's going on? All it took was one more year on Jaxon Smith-Njigba to give you high-end wide receiver won numbers. I mean, wide receiver 7, that's high-end elite numbers. Finished ahead of guys like Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Drake London. So for Jaxon Smith-Njigba, I feel really good about getting out and run right and feeling really good about my Jaxon Smith-Njigba shares going forward because he has now established himself as the number 1 weapon in the Seattle offense. I know they got rid of Ryan Grubb as offensive coordinator. It didn't work out there. But they're probably going to bring in Clint Kubiak, most likely, as offensive coordinator, which is another great addition.
Absolutely. And anything getting away from the run-heavy scheme that they were in before will spell good news for a guy like this.
Yep.
All right.
There's another doo-doo butter pie.
All right. Quentin Johnston will emerge as a solid wide receiver 3 after becoming the wide receiver 2 in the LA offense behind Ladd.
I mean, that wasn't a horrible one.
It wouldn't have been horrible if it wasn't DJ Chark that I used instead of.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did say DJ Chark.
DJ Chark has 3 catches for 25 yards, folks. That one was terrible.
What, in the last game?
Yeah, it wasn't until the very end that DJ Chark actually.
Well, he was
emerged.
hurt. He didn't get off the eye. He didn't go.
Yeah, he would have got it.
He would have got it.
Yeah, it would have happened.
They've been
He
searching.
would have been there. I mean, Quentin Johnson did finish as wide receiver 45.
Quentin Johnston is
Close-ish.
3rd on his team in yards, 2nd on his team in receptions, 1st on the team in TDs. But Quentin Johnston wasn't the guy that I said. So none of this is relevant to my argument.
Yeah.
I hate bold predictions. If you're new to the show, I hate doing these. And I'm bad at them.
Quentin Johnson, on the other hand, on a points per game basis, averaged the same amount of points, 10.2, as Deebo Samuel and Michael Pittman Jr.
Woof.
Wow.
Quentin Johnson, baby, he's back.
He's back-ish.
He's back as long as you don't want your wide receiver to catch the ball.
Strong point. Unlike his hands.
In my drops per route run league, he's doing great.
First place.
All right. Let's get to one of this is probably my second worst one. Najee Harris finishes the season as an RB1. Went pretty bold with this. Loved the Arthur Smith edition. Unfortunately, he finished as running back 20. At least he was still an RB2. It wasn't like he fell off the face of the earth or anything like that. He was never super efficient with his touches all year long. Was hoping that maybe things would be a little bit better this year. And he also never had one of those boom games that really can help you jump up the standings. Like, he actually had a decent run there for a little bit where he had a lot of double digits in a row, but he just never had that like 35-point game to really catapult things. And he had a couple like real duds. Like, he had a 3.1 and a 4.2 that kind of really dragged things down for him. So he finished as running back 20 on the season. So definitely a usable asset, a fine RB2, but definitely didn't even come close to looking as like a guy that could be an RB1.
And it was a perfect storm for that prediction. I mean, he's going into a contract year. They didn't pick up that 5th-year option. Arthur Smith coming to town, very run-heavy type of offense that he
always has an RB1.
Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, I understand why you made that prediction, but at the same time, I think Najee is kind of what he is.
Yeah.
And it's not.
He had that one really good year because Ben Roethlisberger kept dumping off passes to him.
Yep.
I was running back 3 overall rookie year. I was like, oh, look at this.
Would
Boy,
you
was I
look
wrong.
at that.
You told me I was wrong, but boy, was I wrong. Not that wrong on this one, though.
Hey-o.
Bold prediction was Zach Ertz would finish as the top 10 PPR tight end. And, I said, hey, he's very familiar with Cliff Kingsbury's offense. There's not any other weapons outside of Terry McLaurin really there. And weeks 1 through 17, Zach Ertz finished as tight end number 7 overall, good enough for 10.1 points per game, only 0.7 behind Mark Andrews and 0.7 behind Sam Laporta. So he did finish top 10, finished as tight end 7, which was, again, at the time, pretty bold. I mean,
absolutely.
I spent a lot of offseason. We were talking up, and to be fair, to offset it, I was talking about Greg Dulcich and Zach Ertz. So 1 for 2. But out of my bold prediction show, I didn't say anything about Dulcich.
I didn't hear a word.
Zach Ertz would be top 10. Came through for me, finished as tight end 7. That really helped out a lot of my best ball leagues.
Going forward, do you think he's got another one in the bag, or is it going to be similar to what we saw with Trey McBride, where they slowly kind of transition from Ertz to Senate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know his contract status there, but if not, I think it's all in the hands of Senate because Ertz is just a very solid tight end. And the fact that, with age-wise, I mean, we see these tight ends, they play
longer and longer.
Much longer. I mean, he's just as old as Travis Kelce.
Yep.
So if he's still in Washington, then yeah, he's in a very good situation.
Yeah. Because
again, situations matter.
Oh, 100% they do.
Matt, what kind of stinkiness you got for us?
All right, so the only good one, good one that I have. I'm going to take it out of the bag now because why not? Because you can't have a poop sandwich without something good in the middle, I guess. I don't know. Jalen McMillan supplants Chris Godwin as the wide receiver 2 this season, causing Tampa Bay to move on from Godwin after the season. Now, we don't really know if they're moving on. And he didn't necessarily supplant him. It was more like due to injury.
Got hurt.
Yeah, but tiny harder than him.
But he emerged.
He's looked great.
He has really looked very good. And if I was Tampa Bay, I'd feel okay about moving on.
Why pay that huge contract? Even though Chris Godwin's great.
Yes.
Why pay that huge contract when you have somebody that, I mean, over his last 5 games, he put up 7 touchdowns, which is an absurd number. He looks very comfortable in this offense. Use that money, use the draft capital, whatever you got to do to find your new wide receiver 3, but I think you found your wide receiver 2 in the offense.
Yeah, our tomorrow's show we're doing ADP, just kind of go over the current ADP and talk about what we like and we don't like. And I had a good couple notes on Jalen McMillan because he was something I wanted to discuss his ADP. But when I opened my iPad, all my notes were deleted. So we'll see what I remember, what I don't remember. But
we talked about him a couple weeks ago. Remember on the players to watch? We talked about him.
Yeah. So I remember that McMillan take here because I remember looking at Matt going, what are you talking about? Like Chris Godwin's moving to slot. Like there's a much better chance like he's a really good fantasy receiver. Like one of my bold takes is going to be good.
Both of those things kind of ended up being true.
And up until he got hurt, he was wide receiver 1 overall. I think Jamar Chase passed him up like right before he got hurt.
Yeah, so he might have been 2, but either way.
But he was a top 2 fantasy receiver. So good take though because you're close. I mean,
close enough for me, especially when I look at the rest of them.
The FFPC playoff challenges are back for another season. Just pick 12 players, 1 from each playoff team, and ride them all the way to the big dance. It's that simple. Over $1.8 million is on the line between the 2 contests exclusively at FFPC.
I have one incomplete, so I'll do my incomplete at this point because we have not gotten to rookie drafts yet, and this one was kind of looking a little bit further ahead. So I said we will have the same or more running backs in the first round of Superflex tight end premium drafts this year than we've had the last 3 years combined, which is basically 5 running backs in the first round over the past 5 years total have gone in the first round. You could argue 6 depending on your ADP.
Are you saying in the 2025 draft?
In this 2025 draft, this coming year. So we'll have to wait and see. We feel very confident. Obviously, Ashton Genty's going to be 101 in almost every draft. We have a lot of other guys like Judkins, Henderson, Hampton, Ollie Gordon, that could all potentially be in that mix as well. So we'll kind of have to wait and see. I think we could get to 5 in the first round. I don't know that we'll get to 6. Caleb Johnson, another one I didn't mention because he wasn't really on our radar preseason, but these were the preseason notes. So, we'll kind of have to wait and see how it all plays out. So right now it's an incomplete. It's going to be close. I think that could get to 5. I don't know if it would get to 6, so we'll see.
All right. My next one
Put a pin in it.
Dalton Kincaid will have 100+ receptions.
Do people lick pins? I don't think
that's how you.
I just cut my tongue.
Yeah, I think that's how you poke your tongue.
How else do you pierce your tongue?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, put a pin in your tongue in it.
Yeah, not much to say here. Dalton Kincaid's year was an utter disaster.
Yep.
So don't know what's going on there. Hope he can turn around in year 3. If he doesn't turn around in year 3, things are not looking good.
Are you going to get a divorce?
Term. Yeah, I mean, we're past the annulment point of this, so
yeah.
I've already established that Trey McBride and Brock Bowers are clearly better than him. But I mean, that's like saying
you could just be separated. You don't have to get a divorce.
Sydney Sweeney's better than my wife. Which isn't true. Wife. I'm just saying, from outside looking in, somebody would be like, hey, I choose option A. I would choose option B. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Correct.
but as of right now, Dalton Kincaid is not on the radar. He's definitely option C.
I'll see
you later.
You later. All right, so here's my last. No, I think I have one more really crappy one also.
I'm going to do my worst one next, too.
Oh, good.
We'll get them all out at once.
No. A.T. Perry emerges as the starting wide receiver in the New Orleans offense.
There were so many chances, too.
So many
And
chances.
puts up flex-worthy numbers. A.T. Perry didn't even make it out of the camp.
He had so many chances to like jump back in.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this guy got hurt. Now this guy got hurt. Now this guy got. They were like down to their like 5th, 6th, 7th receivers by the end of the year. And he's still.
And then it'd be a
didn't make it.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
That's what I almost changed the name to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but I just feel like
Was he even on the team to start the year?
He wasn't.
I was gonna say I didn't think he was.
That would have been bold.
That's why it was even better.
Super bold.
That's why it would have been
They'll
even
sign him.
And
better.
Deontay Johnson will play for 3 different teams this year. Like, oh, wow, snap.
Man, that's a bold prediction. Well, my worst one, far and away, my worst one. Kyle Pitts finishes as tight end 1.
Oh,
Not a tight end 1.
Not a
the tight end 1. Woof.
cream of the crop.
Look, I mean, I thought, we just got to increase the touchdowns a little bit to a reasonable level that other top tier, tight ends are getting. Just get me to that 7-8 touchdown. I don't even need to double digits. Give me 7-8, and we can at least see it happening with all the targets that TJ Hawkinson got from Kirk Cousins. Like, it's going to happen. He didn't even get in the top 12.
6 games in double digits. That's it for the entire season.
Oh my gosh.
PPR 6
Finished as
games.
tight end 15.
Woof.
Overall, we have 2 zeros in there, 2 other games under 2 points. Like, it's sad.
Yeah, Dud City.
It's so
That
sad.
happens. Next bold prediction for me, which was correct.
Ayo.
Rhamondre Stevenson will finish outside the top 24 of fantasy football running backs.
There you go.
And Garrett's like, he just signed his extension. There's no way. And I was like, yeah, that team sucks. That offensive line, it's terrible.
To be fair, his ADP was like RB22, so
Well,
it's moving like
guess what? He didn't even finish as his ADP. I don't know where he finished. I had it written down in my notes. It all deleted.
I mean, I can look it up here real quick. He was in like the 30s, though.
I'm not going to lie. I tuned you out. Who were you talking about?
Rhamondre.
He finished at 27.
Yeah.
Haha, not top 24.
Suck it.
So, yeah, Rhamondre Stevenson. Another one that I'm right. Another bold prediction check mark on the green
Oh,
side.
wait, that was standard. Wait, hold on. Let me get PPR.
It's 28.
28. One spot off.
Just when you thought things couldn't get worse.
Yep. All right, Matt.
Last but not least.
Your
This
last
is it.
one. Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
Well, you guys do a lot more of
That's
these.
true.
We
We
always
do.
do. Yep.
So I wasn't sure if I should just get them all out of the way.
Might as well.
Yeah. might
Make
as
people
well.
forget.
Yep. Exactly. Xavier Weaver, will emerge as the number 2 wide receiver in Arizona by the end of the season. Never even got a catch. Never even got a target. Never even got thrown to.
Was that the kid from Colorado?
It was.
Okay. I vaguely remember doing the breakdown on him.
I remember picking a whole. He was a free agent everywhere. I remember. I was like, why do I have so many Xavier Weaver shares?
It's because of my bold prediction. Rich went
It
out.
was because of Matt's.
Because it's Sonny Weaver's son.
You go to the
Cleveland
Dynasty
Browns
Club.
royalty from a fake movie.
Oh, man, not a coughing fit.
Oh, we already had to cancel one show. Don't do it
Dude,
again, Rich.
I don't know what's going on, but like my throat, like there's something in there, and it just makes me want to cough.
That's called having a cold.
No, I already had a cold. I feel fine. It's just my,
All right.
my tickle, got a pickle in there.
Thanks for coughing my way.
Rich, I know we
Cut it out, man.
we talked about this in the offseason. As much as we loved Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver 1 for us this year, and I had him in my top 12 to start the year and everything, was Malik Nabers. I was like, I love Marvin Harrison Jr., but I think year 1, all the targets and everything, I think it's Malik Nabers is going to be the best wide receiver in year 1. And boy, was he. So the bold prediction was Malik Nabers is only the 4th rookie wide receiver to have over 100 receptions, and did that hit despite him missing some time, still got over the 100 reception mark. So he had a fantastic rookie season. I know the end of the year wasn't as exciting as the beginning of the year, but he was still putting up very solid numbers at the end of the year as well. We'll see. The quarterback situation can't get too much worse. So we'll see what ends up happening. But Daniel Jones for the first half of the year, who did not play well during his time as the starter this year. And then combination of Locke and DeVito and whoever else was back there at the second half of the year, it would just be tough to imagine a much worse scenario. And he still had over 100 receptions. So I think you're pretty safe and solid with him moving forward.
Yeah, I had a bold prediction, same avenue as you, where I said both rookie wide receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Nabers, will have 100 receptions. So I got half of that one.
Half point, half credit.
I had this. I forgot. I didn't.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, I have one more written down here. Brian Thomas, after the bye week, will score no less than 16.6 points per game.
You're lying. You did not have that. You're so full of crap.
I swear. I nailed that one.
How much did he average?
Well, no, that was his low water mark. So it was at 16.6. So, yeah, that was
Did you also have a really bold take like Sam Darnold's going to take over and, be top 10 quarterback?
Are you reading off my list? These are the ones I didn't get to read on the show.
I ran out of time.
We ran out of time.
I don't know where, but Sam Darnold will be a Pro Bowl cornerback. My next one is Jayden Daniels finishes as top 6 fantasy football quarterback.
Ka-ching.
Yeah, that was a nail. I was madly in love with Jayden Daniels this offseason. Boy, I wish the Browns had the second pick last year because this would be a dream come true for me. And that came true. Not only did he establish himself as a top 6 fantasy football quarterback, he established himself in my eyes as a number 2 overall superflex player in Dynasty fantasy football. He took a 4-win team to the playoffs. They're already advancing. He has the confidence, the arm, the legs, everything that you want out of a starting quarterback, you have in Jayden Daniels.
That game, the playoff game that we just watched between Tampa Bay and the Commanders, it was a fantastic game, and you had to feel great if you have like going forward Jayden Daniels, but Baker Mayfield as well. Like both of those guys played so well. It was that one fumble that completely flipped that game on its head, and got to give Jayden Daniels credit. Like he put his team in the position to win, which is really impressive for a rookie quarterback to do on the road. I know Tampa Bay's not the Chiefs or the whatever, but like still, it's the playoffs. These are all teams that are good. And you're on the road doing it. So very, very impressive game.
They fire cannons there. That's intimidating.
Yeah, I mean, Jayden Daniels, when I got done watching Jayden Daniels tape, I said on this podcast during our rookie quarterback breakdowns is, I know in Superflex leagues, Caleb Williams has been the clear-cut number 1, but there's argument to be made that Jayden Daniels should be the quarterback 1. And I said, I was like, if I had the number 1 pick in this many leagues, like half of them taking Caleb, half of them taking Jayden Daniels. So, and I think now after a full season of watching him play, well, not even a full season, he's still playing, I feel comfortable enough with Jayden Daniels for what I've seen, where I have him ranked number 2 overall. I think I said this to you, Garrett, on the Nerd Show, is I would have no argument or no problem if somebody took Jayden Daniels number 1 overall because they wanted the youth. Like he looked that.
You're getting 4 more years, is that?
5 more years,
4 or 5?
I believe. I think, maybe it's 4, and when you cut it on months. But either way, it's a decent amount of time. He's looked that good. Yeah, so very happy with that bold prediction. That was correct. Next one, Garrett.
Because Matt's out. Let's these next 2 that I have, Rich, you and I either had the exact same prediction or very, very close. I know on these 2. So this one, I had J.K. Dobbins is a top 18 back in 2024, and you had the exact same prediction. Now, this one depends on how you want to score it.
Exactly. I have a reminder because my notes got deleted, but I remember my note.
What was it? Go ahead.
He didn't finish as running back 18, but on a points per game basis, where did J.K. Dobbins finish?
18.
And what did we say?
Top 18 back.
Yes, 18 or better. That's crazy that we hit that.
Yep. So J.K. Dobbins, he had a really, really good season overall. Love. Well, wait. Why does it not say that he's top 18?
He's 18. You're on standard again.
Oh, I didn't have it by points per game. I had it by total points. I was like, wait, it's at 24. So for him to hit that top 18 just shows how good he is. And yeah, I mean, he left that one game due to injury, so obviously he would have even had more points in that game. His points per game would have been higher.
That was bold.
to be averaging nearly 15 points a game, which, by the way, almost the same as Breece Hall, basically, is what you got out of J.K. Now, I know Breece didn't have a great year, but he looked really, really good. So love seeing him come back as strong as he did and perform as well as he did. And then, Rich, our other one, where I know you had for the second half of the season, I had it for the entire season, that Bucky Irving finishes the season with more total points than Rachaad White. And boy, did he ever. Yep. Bucky Irving almost got inside the top 12, actually, on total points this season. Just finished as running back 13, but he didn't really get his run until week 5, and then he really, really took off from there. Only had 2 games where he didn't have over 15 points, so he really, really crushed after week 5. Was just an absolute dynamo for your fantasy football teams, and you got to feel great about him moving forward.
Yeah, I said Bucky Irving would overtake Rachaad White, and by no later than week 12 would he be the number 1 fantasy scorer running back on the Buccaneers, and another one we both hit there, so felt really good about that one. Next one here is a miss for me, but I think overall it came pretty good. I said Lad McConkey will catch 100 footballs.
Oh, he had a great the heart, the spirit of it was correct.
Yeah, and honestly, he probably would have if he didn't start the year off so slow for the first 4 to 5 weeks there. Mm-hmm. He ended up catching 84 footballs, but more importantly, finished as wide receiver 12 on the year. So, where I thought that was going to come to fruition with the 395 vacated targets there for Lad McConkey, he came up short. He came up close to 100 yards. He had a great year. I think, again, somebody who's really established himself Dynasty ADP wise. I mean, there's an argument to be made to draft Lad McConkey ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. in a startup draft. He's one of those people, I think, wherever you draft him in your startup draft, he ends up being really good value.
He's going to be value. He doesn't come with the big name of a Marvin Harrison because he doesn't maybe necessarily have the upside. So, I think that's
correct.
That's the perception out there, and that's why you're going to see Marvin Harrison go ahead of him, even though he obviously outscored him this season. But Marvin Harrison's another guy that could take that JSN type of jump in year 2 and be right up in this conversation as well. So I understand the people that would take Marvin Harrison, and I'm included in that group of people that would take Marvin Harrison.
So if you let me ask this for everybody out there. Lad McConkey, so this is all for Marvin Harrison Jr. Mm-hmm. Would you trade Lad McConkey straight up for Marvin Harrison Jr. today?
Yes, I would take Marvin Harrison Jr. It's close.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay, and that's fair. I probably would too. Next one, a little tougher. Brian Thomas Jr. Wide receiver 4 on a year in his rookie year with mixed quarterback play.
What are you saying?
Who would you rather
for Marvin Harrison?
For Marvin Harrison Jr. Because I would that one.
It's a coin flip for me. I could go either way on it. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. will be better. And the narrative out there is that he was bad in his rookie year. He still had 880 yards and 8 touchdowns. He didn't have a bad season. He just didn't live up to the insane hype that we would have had for a guy like that.
And that's no diss to Marvin. That's just how good Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas Jr. put up 1,200 yards. Had an unreal run there towards the end of the season.
Receiver 4 on the year. That's gross.
The only thing that, obviously he'll be the number 1 guy. He's going to be the top target and all of that. But we did have so many injuries on that receiving core that maybe that plays a little bit into it. Maybe we don't see quite the volume. Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, all these guys kept going down. So coin flip, if I had 10.
Answer the damn question.
If I had 10 startups, I would take 5 and 5.
Right now, you only have one share.
You got to do that with Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams.
No.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said.
That's a different question. If you had Brian Thomas Jr.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
and somebody said, I'll give you Marvin Harrison Jr. for Brian Thomas today, you would go ahead and you make that trade?
I'll take Marvin Harrison Jr.
I would not. Okay.
I'll take Brian Thomas.
Okay. All right.
It's not as clean and easy as I just said it, though. How about that? I would struggle over it.
Yeah, and I don't say I'm taking Brian Thomas. It's just he finished a wide receiver 4. There's no point for me. Yeah. Do I believe in Marvin Harrison Jr.? 100%.
Yeah.
But when you have a thing like that in your back pocket.
The other it's great. The only other thing that's kind of hanging over my head a little bit is the uncertainty as to what kind of offense they're going to be running next year because we don't know who the coach is. We don't know anything.
Dude, if Ben Johnson goes there,
it's great.
6 to midnight.
Yeah, Fantastic.
1,800 yards receiving.
And you could make the
If
argument.
Robert
touchdowns.
Saleh goes there, that's
Ain't nobody higher than Robert Saleh as their head coach.
You never know. We've seen weirder. And I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. played just as good, if not better, with Mac Jones than he did with Trevor Lawrence
Word
too.
up, sister.
So we'll see. But I got 2 left.
All right.
Yeah, I have 2 left. This one was really close, but technically I did not get it. The 2024 rookie class will break the record for most rookie wide receivers with 1,000 yards. So 3 was the record. They tied it. There's 3 guys that did it, and Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Nabers, and Lad McConkey all eclipsed 1,000 yards. Since I technically said wide receivers, I don't get it. However, Brock Bowers was the 4th. So it kind of happened, but since I said wide receivers, I can't take credit for it.
Thanks for nothing, Marv.
Dang it.
Marv.
All my rest are misses.
All your rest. I have 1 left, and it is also a miss.
All right, I'm gonna power through these
Do it.
because some of these are really bad.
You're saving those for the quick
They're-
rattle them
They're
off.
my,
Rifle-
they're my
rifle through
bottom
them.
ones.
Yep.
I mean, I had the J.K. Dobbins one here at the bottom, so
Yeah, we kinda talked
and the
about
Malik
him.
Nabers one, so those were both right ones. But I have Mike Williams finished as a top 24 PPR wide receiver. I think he finished
Who?
as Mike Williams.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, he say he blew is an understatement.
I love Mike Williams.
Yeah, me too. Past tense.
Yep.
Kyron Williams will be out of the top 16 for fantasy football running backs. Whoops-a-daisy. Corey Parkinson becomes a viable option. Whoops-a-daisy.
I heard the name you just said.
And the last
We
one
all know that. We all know what's coming next.
is my worst one by a large margin.
Large margin.
Tell him large margin sent you. Deshaun Watson finishes as a QB1.
Ooh.
Not only did not finish a QB1,
Dude,
he looked like one of the worst quarterbacks ever.
Did you say QB
He's
100?
never going to play again.
You live in dreamland sometimes.
I sure do.
It's the Browns. It's
It
only
is.
in the Browns that you live in dreamland.
Arrivederci, turd.
Yeah.
Arrivederci. But overall,
So
I'm happy. I'm happy.
My last one real quick before we get out of here. I had most tight ends over 200 total points in a season, since that was starting to track on Fantasy Pros in 2013. 2 different seasons, 2013 and 2023, had 6 guys. We only had 4 this season, so that was a miss. So, but overall, 4 out of 10 for bold predictions, 40%. I feel pretty good about that.
I got 1.
I got like maybe a half out of 5.
50-50
Yeah, my
range.
HN was
No,
so close.
1/2.
0.5.
0.5 out of 5.
Oh, man.
So mine's slightly
And I did
worse.
not count the rookie wide receiver one, since I said wide receiver. So that one was a miss. If I would have counted that, that would have been 50-50.
I got 7 right.
There you go. Out of
1, 2.
See if I won.
3,
I'm so competitive.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
This is interesting. 14. He's
15.
already passed. Oh, 15.
15.
No, that's less than 50%.
So I think you technically got me,
Yep.
though, because I was at 40%.
Oh, I'm definitely more than 40. Look at me.
Definitely more than 40.
He's more
Look
than
at me.
40.
I'm like 43.
Definitely more than 40.
Pretty good, though. I mean, for bold predictions. And I said
Pretty
it last
good.
year, I was like, oh, I'm going to try and be a little bit more like
Yeah.
serious with these ones. And I'm very happy with like putting the time into this with all these notes I have written down here to
Yeah.
get over like 40%, over 40%.
Honestly, anything over like 20-25% is pretty good, because these are things that nobody is expecting to happen.
Are you
And
saying
2 of
that
them-
I'm really bad?
Actually,
Yeah,
you know
really
what?
bad.
Technically, I'm 4 out of 9 right now. 1 is incomplete.
Well, technically,
We'll see.
Lad McConkey finished as wide receiver 1 and Devon Achane finished as running back 5. So that's pretty close, too.
Well, I didn't count the close ones. I got the wide receiver tight end where I could have counted it, but he's not a receiver. So I could have counted it. But I'm just saying,
That would have been 9. That would have been 9.
all I'm saying is we don't know what happens in this running back class yet, so we got to wait and see what happens.
Oh, okay. Well, in 2036, there's going to be 6
It was the
quarterbacks.
same offseason. You stop it. You stop it.
Okay, adios.
Hey, Nerd Herd, Dynasty Nerds has an incredible new offer from Underdog Fantasy for new customers. When you sign up as a new customer, you'll get a chance at their new customer free pick. But that's not all. Underdog is also offering incredible deposit bonuses. Use the promo code NERDS when you first sign up, and Underdog will give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash with your first deposit. That's right, $1,000 to kickstart your fantasy football journey. Don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app. Sign up today with promo code NERDS and start your journey to fantasy football glory today. Must be 18, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. And in Tennessee, call 1-800-889-9789.